In this version of modern Korea, the country still has a constitutional monarchy. That means money can make you powerful, but it cannot make you royal. And for Song Hui-ju, that truth is more insulting than anything. She is the daughter of one of Korea's richest Chaebol families. She is also a brilliant, ruthless businesswoman who has built her brand into a massive success. But because she is an illegitimate daughter, the old aristocratic world still looks down on her. To the nobles, Hui-ju can be rich, beautiful, and talented. None of that changes the label they put on her. Back in school, Hui-ju was already the kind of student who won every contest and irritated every noble classmate. Even when the principal praised her, the hidden message was that someone of her low status should feel grateful just to attend such a school. Hui-ju threw away the principal's reward without hesitation. She never lacked money. What she wanted was not charity. She wanted recognition. After graduation, she took over part of her family's business and made it thrive. Even when she attends the king's birthday banquet, she turns it into a fashion advertisement. Everything she wears sells out instantly. But at the royal banquet, the press cares more about the real star of the night, Grand Prince Yi-an. Yi-an is the regent, the king's uncle, and one of the most powerful men in the country. He loves hunting, dislikes empty ceremony, and enters the young king's birthday banquet wearing hunting clothes as if court etiquette means nothing to him. The entire room rises in fear and respect. Hui-ju, who is normally a storm wherever she goes, becomes almost invisible once she enters the palace. In this world, even nobles who look down on her must bow before the royal family. The distance between commoners and nobility cannot be filled with money alone. When the noble women mock her, Hui-ju answers by smashing a glass. Her half-brother Song Tae-ju appears and tries to criticize her, but Hui-ju has never respected him. Her business results are stronger, yet he is still treated as the legitimate heir because he was born to the proper wife. The royal family has its own war too. The young king can barely keep his crown straight. Queen Dowager Yoon E-rang controls the palace around him, while Yi-an stands beside the throne as the regent everyone fears. The tension between the Queen Dowager and Yi-an is visible from the moment he arrives. During the birthday ceremony, Yi-an privately meets Prime Minister Min Jong-woo. He asks the cabinet to veto the marriage the Queen Dowager is trying to arrange for him. By royal custom, once an adult prince marries, he must move out of the palace. The Queen Dowager wants to use marriage to weaken Yi-an and strip him of power. Jung-woo has worked with Yi-an for years and promises to help block the match. When Yi-an turns around, he notices Hui-ju nearby. This area is forbidden to outsiders, but he lets her go because the two of them have met before. Then a loud noise erupts. A palace building has caught fire. The Queen Dowager panics and slaps Yi-an in front of everyone. 3 years earlier, the former king died in a fire, and she seems to blame Yi-an, the person who benefited most by becoming regent. Yi-an does not defend himself. He knows no one would believe him anyway. To prevent rumors, Yi-an and the prime minister suppress the new fire incident. But the Queen Dowager uses his hunting outfit to accuse him of disrespecting the king and secretly plotting against the throne. She even encourages royal relatives to protest in the streets, hoping the public will turn against him. Instead, Yi-an's hunting outfit goes viral because he looks too good in it. The public does not condemn him, they fall for him. On the way back, Hui-ju remembers her first meeting with Yi-an. In school, she entered an archery competition. To win, she secretly trained at a shooting range, only to be caught by Yi-an, who had come to practice too. The range was supposed to be closed, but noble classmates had keys, and Yi-an could easily get permission from the principal. From the start, Hui-ju was competing on unequal ground. If she played by the rules, she would likely lose. So she said plainly that she would rather win unfairly than lose honorably in a rigged game. Her bright, shameless ambition moved Yi-an. Instead of reporting her, he let her go. Back in the present, the Queen Dowager's slap becomes a scandal. She is forced to apologize, but her resentment only grows. She tells Yi-an to prove his loyalty to the king by marrying the woman she chooses. Yi-an temporarily moves out of the palace to avoid her pressure. Hui-ju is also trapped by the curse of being a second child. She is far more capable than Tae-ju, but she is a daughter and an illegitimate one. Her father plans to push her into a marriage alliance to stop her from threatening Tae-ju's inheritance. Huiju does not hate the idea of marriage. She hates that the man chosen for her is not worthy of her. Her sister-in-law mocks her, saying a woman of her background can only marry someone ordinary. But Huiju has never been the kind of person who quietly accepts fate. If she has to marry, she will marry the best man possible. That man can only be Yi An. So Huiju sends a direct request to meet him and proposes marriage. She is rejected in 15 minutes. She tries again using her titles, achievements, and official excuses. Every request is rejected. Finally, she writes that she is his junior from school and hopes her senior will continue guiding her. This time, Yi An approves. When they meet, Huiju wastes no time. She wants a contract marriage. She needs royal status to protect her inheritance position, and Yi An needs a way to survive the palace's marriage pressure. Yi An is amused by her boldness. Half the unmarried women in Korea dream of marrying him, so why does Huiju think she can win? Huiju answers without hesitation. Her greatest advantage is money. Yi An laughs because money is the one thing he does not lack. Huiju continues. Her brother is useless and will never overreach. She is smart, can play the role of a decorative wife, and has strong mental endurance. She lists advantage after advantage. Yi An still refuses. His reason is almost ridiculous to her. He wants to marry for love. But Huiju does not give up. She begins pursuing him aggressively. When he rides, she appears. When he eats breakfast, she appears. When he drives, she follows. Even when he goes to the movies, she is there beside him. Under that relentless pressure, Yi An slowly gets used to her presence. He even starts paying more attention to what he wears. When Huiju sees no progress, she suddenly agrees to a family-arranged blind date. The man is a handsome only son from another major company. Huiju meets him at an art museum and immediately makes her terms clear. She can provide money, but her husband must fully support her fight for succession. The date is reported to Yi An because the museum belongs to him. Yi An becomes quietly annoyed. How can she be this impatient? Yet her ruthless practicality also reminds him of the Queen Dowager. The former king was weak, and the Queen Dowager came from a powerful noble family that had produced queens for generations. She could not accept a soft husband. When the former king tried to abdicate to save himself, she burned the abdication document and forced him to choose. That night, the palace burned, and the former king died. Yi An has delayed marriage partly because any wife of his would be dragged into the Queen Dowager's swamp. But Huiju's decisiveness makes him wonder if she might be someone who can fight back. While Yi An is away from the palace, the Queen Dowager sends the young king to an official event alone. The child becomes so frightened that he calls Yi An and begs him to come. At the ceremony, Huiju appears as an award recipient. When Yi An presents the award, she openly flirts with him in front of everyone, making his heart race. Jongwoo sees the news and invites Huiju to dinner. The two have known each other since school. Huiju only sees him as a friend, but Jongwoo has quietly liked her for years. That night, the Queen Dowager grows furious because Yi An has stolen attention from the king again. Yi An is sick with a fever and secretly resting at a hotel to keep the news quiet. By coincidence, Huiju is staying at the same hotel. She runs into Yi An's secretary and learns Yi An is ill, then helps care for him. The Queen Dowager arrives and catches them in the same room. By the next morning, rumors of Yi An and Huiju's secret meeting are everywhere. Some tabloids even claim Huiju is already pregnant. Huiju laughs when she reads the headlines. Then she visits Yi An formally. Yi An apologizes for dragging her into the scandal and asks what compensation she wants. Huiju brings out the memory of their old archery match. Back then, noble students insulted her before the competition, and Yi An quietly made the shooting range available 24 hours a day so she could train fairly. In the match, Yi An lost to her by 2 points. Huiju loves winning. She has spent her life being dismissed because her name and status were not legitimate enough. That is why she wants to become Yi An's contract wife. This time, Yi An is moved. When reporters expect him to deny the rumor, Yi An smiles and steps out of the car holding Huiju's hand. Without saying it directly, he acknowledges her as his lover. Then he takes her back to the palace. The last time Huiju entered the palace, she was invisible. This time, everyone stares at her. The Queen Dowager summons Yi An immediately, leaving Huiju alone. Yi An treats her gently before leaving, shocking the palace servants. They have never seen him look at a woman this way. The Queen Dowager is furious. She had meant to use the scandal to attack Yian, forcing him to spend his energy denying it. Instead, he swallowed the scandal like a gift. Now she opposes the marriage because Huiju's status is too low. More importantly, she had already chosen one of her own people to marry Yian and monitor him. Huiju worries whether Yian will side with her if she clashes with the Queen Dowager. Yian explains that he has to act madly in love, so everyone believes the relationship is real. Huiju decides to increase the chances of the marriage in her own way. She uses her friendship with Zhongwu to ask for help. His face darkens because he has loved her for years, but as always, he cannot refuse her. If Huiju wants something, he helps her get it. The resistance comes from everywhere. Yian's obsessive female fans, especially schoolgirls, storm into Huiju's residence and throw eggs at her. Huiju is not helpless. She teaches them a harsh lesson and makes them apologize on camera before leaving. Even her father tries to pull her down. He says the scandal is a cheap stunt. He resents Huiju because her existence once shattered his legitimate family. His wife became ill after learning about Huiju, and he has never forgiven the child born from that affair. Huiju argues with him. She has always demanded the same car, house, company treatment, and attention as Taeju because she wanted her father to see her as equal. She looks strong because she has to be. If she lowers her head, she will lose everything. That night, Yian hears something wrong in her voice and comes to her with the sandwich she once bought. Huiju eats while pretending she is fine, but his simple concern makes her eyes turn red. For the first time, she feels that warmth does not always have to be fought for. Because her residence is no longer safe, Yian suggests she stay at his private house. That night, they share a bed, though a thick wall of pillows stands between them. They fight over the blanket like children, and the servants outside misunderstand the noise as passion. The next morning, royal investigators rush in to arrest Huiju as a suspect in the palace fire. She demands to see a warrant. The Queen Dowager chose this day because Yian is attending royal rites without his phone. Huiju knows she cannot fight the whole palace alone. She sends her assistant to find Yian, and also reveals a hidden royal token she received, sending the housekeeper as backup. The token gets them into the shrine. Yian reaches Huiju at the final moment before she is taken for interrogation. The Queen Dowager tries to force him to hand her over, but Yian refuses. Huiju faints in his arms. Everyone thinks she collapsed from fear. In reality, she is acting. Still, the scene helps. People whisper that the Queen Dowager has gone too far, and Yian looks like a man deeply in love. To prevent such attacks from happening again, Yian decides to spread rumors about his own obsession with Huiju. The more unreasonable his protection looks, the more convincing their romance becomes. That night, Huiju secretly waits outside the palace wall with tea for his sore throat. She claims it is only for the act, but Yian sees through her excuse. Under the night sky, he kisses her. Huiju's heart races, but Yian points out a camera nearby. The kiss was to make the scandal more believable. She quickly swallows her embarrassment, lifts her chin, and waits for him to kiss her again. Yian cannot help smiling. The photos make the front page. Public opinion turns romantic, and the palace can no longer ignore it. Government officials and royal relatives meet to decide what to do. The Queen Dowager's father, the strongest voice among the royal clan, insists Yian must not acknowledge the romance because Huiju's low status will damage him. Zhongwu, speaking for the government, argues Yian should acknowledge the relationship but not mention marriage. His position is mixed with personal feelings. He does not want Huiju publicly denied, but he also does not want her actually married to Yian. The royal relatives demand Huiju move out of Yian's house. Yian refuses. He fights both sides alone and wins the right to acknowledge the relationship and let Huiju stay with him. After the palace statement, online opinion is still divided. The Queen Dowager is enraged, but her father warns her that public resistance against her is growing. They cannot act openly right now. Meanwhile, Huiju celebrates the first successful step like a marketing victory. Yian is less happy. They are only official lovers, still far from marriage. Unless they are forced to marry because of a pregnancy, the process will be slow. Huiju leans closer, and Yian panics, thinking she may actually be suggesting that. Instead, she wants to go on a public date. She wants the entire world to see that she has won the regent's heart. For their first official date, servants dress Huiju like a noble lady. Yeon is stunned by her beauty, but then says the outfit is wrong. She may have a princess attitude, but she is not a princess. After several outfits, she changes back into simple, casual clothes. The driver thinks she looks too plain next to Yeon in his suit. Huiju disagrees. She says she shines like a diamond no matter what she wears. That confidence is exactly what Yeon likes. They go to a baseball stadium. Huiju changes into a baseball uniform and prepares one for Yeon too. Royal rules say a royal family member cannot wear uniforms or express political preferences, even through sports clothing. Huiju is shocked by how many rules trap him. At the stadium, Taeju is about to get angry when he sees Huiju, but becomes respectful the moment he notices Yeon. Jungwoo also appears as the opening pitch guest and joins them. The camera finds the couple, and the audience goes wild. Huiju politely refuses the crowd's invitation because it would break etiquette. After the game, Jungwoo invites Yeon to dinner and deliberately chooses a raw food restaurant, knowing royals cannot eat ordinary restaurant food or raw meat. Yeon remembers childhood. When he once wanted to swap clothes with his older brother, his father exploded because he had worn his brother's robe. That was when he learned the rules that still suffocate him. Back in the present, he places raw food onto Huiju's plate. Entering the royal family means being tamed, and Huiju is starting to understand the cage around him. Even the housekeeper at Yeon's private residence looks down on Huiju and requests permission to train her in royal manners. Yeon has no proper excuse to refuse, so Huiju gets caught after work. When Yeon hears what is happening, he rushes home. Huiju sees him and immediately runs into his arms, begging softly for him to take her away. That breaks his heart. The Queen Dowager still refuses to give up. She cancels one official event by claiming illness, then recommends a replacement partner for Yeon. The woman comes from wealth, has noble blood, and is the Queen Dowager's friend. Everyone can see she is trying to match them. Yeon counters by arranging 3 medical checkups a day for the Queen Dowager, effectively putting her under a polite version of house arrest. At times, he feels the whole world is against him. Then Huiju calls, and the sound of her voice melts him. Huiju also wins over everyone around Yeon. In only a few days, the staff at his house adore her. Even the young king visits on the weekend with Jungwoo, who tutors him and ends up playing games with Huiju. After one day together, the child loves his little aunt. His wish is to ride in Huiju's one-of-a-kind sports car. The royal nanny tries to stop him because it breaks protocol, but the king throws a childlike tantrum. Everyone gives in. Huiju takes the wheel and drives him out. Then the brakes fail. The runaway sports car weaves through traffic. Huiju does everything she can to avoid hitting anyone and guides the car onto a quiet overpass, hoping to use the barrier to stop it. At the last moment, another car cuts in front of her and blocks the crash. It is Yeon. He saves them, but his head is bleeding and his shoulder is badly injured. The Queen Dowager rushes to the hospital when she hears her son was involved. The king has only minor injuries, but Yeon needs surgery. When she learns Huiju was driving, she immediately wants to turn the accident against her. Online, people are already attacking Huiju for speeding and driving against traffic. Jungwoo stops the Queen Dowager, saying the king's reputation must come first. The young king apologizes to Huiju, but she does not blame him. She is more worried about Yeon. Yeon, however, keeps looking at the wound on her forehead. Both of them care more about each other than themselves. Huiju's company stock plunges because of the scandal. Her assistant rushes into the hospital room, terrified, saying her father demands she return home and explain. Huiju expected her father to be cold, but after nearly dying, hearing him care only about stock price still hurts. Her assistant also thinks the contract marriage is ruining her life. Ever since she got involved with Yeon, nothing good has happened. Jungwoo overhears the conversation and learns that Huiju's marriage to Yeon is for status. He offers himself as an alternative, but Huiju refuses. Her reason is practical. No matter what foolish thing Yeon does, his royal status comes from blood and cannot be removed by public opinion. Even if Huiju divorces him, she may keep the title of princess, but Jungwoo is a politician. One scandal could destroy him, and his term lasts only 5 years. She does not want to drag him down. The answer disappoints him. The next day, Huiju prepares to leave the hospital and tries to say goodbye to Yeon, only to learn he left without telling her. Her bad feeling comes true. Yeon wants to break things off. At first, Huiju thinks he is speaking in anger, but then he has her luggage thrown out of his private residence. When her father hears she has been kicked out, he uses the chance to scold her. Huiju argues with him again and leaves furious. Yi-an's secretary also does not understand why he would destroy the marriage now. The car accident reminded Yi-an of his mother's death. His father died in a car accident, and young Yi-an could only watch helplessly. He does not want Huiju to repeat his mother's fate. To compensate her, Yi-an asks the Queen Dowager to invite Huiju to an elite royal banquet, a gathering for only 20 female guests. An invitation is practically a pass into royal high society. Huiju refuses it again and again. Yi-an finally asks to meet her in person. Huiju cannot understand why he saved her only to abandon her. In anger, she picks up a bow and aims an arrow near his face. Yi-an snatches the arrow away. Huiju tells him this is what protection looks like. Protection is not retreating. Protection is fighting for what you want to protect. No one has ever taught Yi-an that before. That night changes him. Huiju agrees to attend the banquet and part with him properly. When they meet again, she instinctively walks past him, then stops. At these events, people are ranked by status, and someone like her is always placed at the back. Yi-an, as regent, is used to walking in front. She smiles and asks him to teach her how to walk ahead, but he can only teach her if he walks beside her. At the banquet, noble women wear traditional Korean clothing and gossip about Huiju when she is absent. They say allowing someone like her into the event lowers its class. The Queen Dowager hears the insults and looks displeased, but she looks even worse when Huiju enters, wearing a white suit instead of traditional clothing. It is an open challenge. In front of cameras, the Queen Dowager must pretend to be generous. She takes the women into the garden, where Huiju is forced to stand at the very back without shade, while the higher-ranking women walk under parasols. Then Yi-an appears in a suit too. He walks past everyone and links arms with Huiju. However much the nobles hate her, they have to bow. At the evening ball, the Queen Dowager is already planning another woman for Yi-an, someone with status high enough to enter the palace, but weak enough to control. She does not want a wife who strengthens him. She wants a surveillance device beside him. Jong-woo refuses to openly participate in her internal war because as prime minister he must appear neutral. But his eyes are drawn to Huiju and Yi-an as they enter together. Huiju wears a soft pink dress. Yi-an wears a sharp military uniform. Together, they look like a perfect couple. They bow to the Queen Dowager, then dance the opening dance. The Queen Dowager remains calm because Yi-an told her this was his farewell gift to Huiju. She imagines Huiju's humiliation when she is abandoned after such a beautiful moment. But after the dance, Yi-an drops to one knee and takes out a huge diamond ring. Huiju recognizes it as a national treasure that once belonged to the former queen. She is stunned and delighted. This is the marriage she wanted, so she accepts. The marriage still requires the young king's permission. The Queen Dowager frantically shakes her head at her son, but the child looks at his beloved uncle and Huiju, then disobeys his mother for the first time. He approves. The royal decree cannot be easily reversed without destroying the palace's credibility. The Queen Dowager tries one last route and asks Jong-woo to use the cabinet veto. Jong-woo refuses, saying the government must align with the king's decree. At the ball, Huiju quietly asks Jong-woo for help while dancing with him, never knowing he has already helped block the Queen Dowager. The Queen Dowager threatens Yi-an during their dance, but Yi-an mentions that he knows about the former king's will. The word will makes her face change. After the banquet, Huiju cannot stop admiring the ring. She knows Yi-an's mother must have loved him deeply to leave this national treasure to her younger son instead of the heir. Yi-an confirms it. His mother loved him, but that decision enraged his father. Huiju feels a strange kinship with him. When the Queen Dowager's father hears about the engagement, he rushes to attack it. But the Queen Dowager hesitates. The former king's will had named Yi-an as successor. The king died in the fire, and the Queen Dowager burned the document herself. The guilt still haunts her, and she fears what will happen to her son if the truth comes out. So for now, she backs down. Huiju's father also changes in a quiet way. He tells Taeju's wife to contact her family because he does not want his daughter to marry into the palace without support. His daughter-in-law is shocked. The man usually treats Huiju harshly, but Taeju understands. Their father may criticize Huiju himself, but he cannot stand outsiders bullying her. Taeju also helps investigate the car accident. But just as they begin, the mechanic who tampered with Huiju's car dies mysteriously. The real culprit is still free. Huiju refuses to retreat.
With the wedding approaching, Huiju, Yian, and Zhongwu discuss details together. Yian grows jealous when he sees how familiar Huiju and Zhongwu are. Zhongwu directly says he knows their marriage is contractual and promises to help them divorce smoothly later. That makes Yian even more jealous. Huiju does not understand why he is upset and pulls him into drafting the marriage contract. Before they can finish, the Queen Dowager invites them to a dangerous dinner. At the table, she keeps mentioning the former king. Yian endures it, but Huiju cannot. She slams the table and uses the palace gate closing time as an excuse to leave. She is not officially married yet, so she cannot openly challenge the Queen Dowager. Once she is, she plans to remove every obstacle around Yian. Seeing her angry face, Yian laughs. For the first time in his life, someone is so determined to protect him. They are engaged now and will soon be married. That makes them true allies, people in the same boat.
Yian drives Huiju home himself, something rare and precious for a royal bound by restrictions. He tells her he likes driving because it feels free. The palace has never felt like home to him. It is more like a prison. Huiju feels for him and offers an even freer experience. She takes him to her luxury yacht. As a Chaebol woman, money is never the problem. She has sent away all the staff, so only the two of them are on board. She feeds Yian something he normally is not allowed to eat. They stand on deck together in the sea breeze, and when the boat rocks, they fall into each other. Huiju shyly tries to push him away, but Yian pulls her close. They kiss passionately. After returning to Yian's house, Huiju is flustered in a way she has never been before. Her heart keeps racing. Yian feels the same and even walks to her door, calling her name. When she does not answer, he assumes she is asleep and holds himself back.
The next morning, Huiju tries to sneak out early to avoid the awkwardness, but Yian catches her. She slips and falls into his arms, then runs away in panic while he smiles like a man in love. The royal wedding requires many complicated preparations. Most importantly, if Huiju marries into the royal family, she cannot keep running a business. She must transfer her shares. She deliberately transfers them to Taeju, not out of generosity, but to show her father and the board that Taeju cannot perform even with everything she built. Zhongwu gives her a ride to the company that day. In the car, he warns her that if she truly falls for Yian, divorce will become painful. Property can be divided, but feelings cannot. The warning chills her. She reminds herself of the original goal. She agreed to this marriage for status. She must separate public and private matters. But feelings do not obey reason. During an important company meeting, a single text from Yian makes her smile and lose focus. Later, when she is with him, every small gesture unsettles her. As they try on wedding clothes, Yian gently moves a stray hair from her neck. The small touch makes her face burn. She has no experience dealing with this kind of emotion, so she avoids his eyes. Yian asks what is wrong. Huiju tries to explain away the kiss on the yacht, saying the atmosphere was too good and he might have kissed anyone. Yian immediately denies it. He is not casual. He kissed her because it was her. Her heart skips again. The Queen Dowager uses the final chance before the wedding to urge Yian to give up. She says he and Huiju come from different worlds. Yian answers that she and his older brother came from the same world. But was that marriage happy? Her marriage was not happy. She wanted to become Korea's most honored woman, while her husband wanted to remove his son from succession and hand power to Yian. That night, she made an unforgivable choice for status. What she does not know is that the abdication decree she thought she burned was not completely destroyed. A surviving copy rests in Yian's safe. Compared with the palace, Huiju's family politics seem almost childish. Taeju tries to embarrass her at the pre-wedding family meal, but his attacks are nothing compared with royal blades. Even Huiju's father becomes unexpectedly gentle in front of Yian. That false-looking kindness makes Huiju uncomfortable, especially because he gave Taeju's wife generous gifts and shares during Taeju's marriage. Huiju leaves the meal angrily, and Yian follows. He tells her that love means unconditional support, encouragement, companionship, and giving. The things she never received from her father, she begins to receive from Yian. That makes her wonder if he truly likes her. Because Huiju asks direct questions, she asks him outright. Yian does not hide. He admits this is the first time he has liked someone. He has always suppressed desire, but he cannot suppress his feelings for her. Still, she does not have to worry that he will refuse divorce later. He will never use his feelings to trap the person he loves.
The next day, he visits Jongwoo and openly declares his feelings, clearly warning his rival to retreat. Jongwoo answers that Yeon's love will only make things harder for Huiju because her goal was never Yeon's heart. At the wedding, Huiju appears in formal royal robes. Even her father and brother must bow to her. This is the power and status she dreamed of. Then, at the brightest moment of her life, in front of the king, the queen dowager, and the press, Huiju suddenly loses strength and collapses. Yeon is furious. The queen dowager pretends to worry and asks for the royal doctors, but Yeon refuses. He sends Huiju to her family group's hospital instead. The doctors soon confirm she has been poisoned. The substance is a heart medication. In excessive amounts, it can be fatal. Because she arrived quickly, Huiju survives. Her father is furious. No matter how difficult she is his daughter. He slaps Yeon, ignoring his royal status. Yeon orders his guards to stand down and promises he will find the culprit. The most likely suspect is the Queen Dowager, but the Royal Protection Office has been under her control for too long. Yeon asks Jongwoo to investigate the palace. As regent, he will sign a special approval order. Jongwoo announces a public investigation into the royal family. Every royal member and servant is questioned. When Huiju wakes, Yeon is not at the hospital. He is at his parents' memorial, blaming himself. Maybe, he fears, his greed angered the spirit of his father and put Huiju in danger. The moment he hears she is awake, he runs to her. Only after holding her tightly can he believe he did not lose her. Before Yeon and Huiju can share the relief of her recovery, Jongwoo arrives and asks Yeon to submit to questioning. Before leaving, Yeon orders his assistant to stay beside Huiju at all times. He cannot bear the thought of losing her again. During questioning, Yeon reveals that the overdose medication is something he sometimes takes. If the poisoned glass had reached him, the dose would have combined with the medicine already in his body and killed him. After his death, people might have believed he accidentally took too much of his usual medication. In the hospital room, Huiju suddenly remembers she had not eaten or drunk anything that day except the toast wine at the wedding. She also remembers accidentally switching glasses. That means the target was not her. The target was Yeon. Realizing he is still in danger, Huiju runs from the hospital but is stopped. Yeon arranges a new protected residence for her inside the palace. Even though the palace is full of the Queen Dowager's people, Yeon has his own network. Huiju sees online opinion turning against her. Because she has always presented herself as powerful and clever, some people even suspect she staged the poisoning. Now that she has a royal identity, she must adjust her image. She hires online commenters to spread the story of her being a wronged victim and leaves the hospital in a fragile, pitiful style. Public sympathy begins shifting. Many people think she gave up being an untouchable Chaebol executive only to enter a marriage where the Queen Dowager targets her. To protect her, Yeon limits who can visit. Only the head housekeeper, Huiju's secretary, her sister-in-law, and his assistant may enter. Huiju watches him fuss over every detail, then pulls his sleeve and asks to be alone. Once everyone leaves, she becomes serious. She knows the real target was him. He is the one who needs protection. Yeon says the target being him is almost a relief. If Huiju were the true target, he would be unable to bear it. Without realizing it, Huiju has become his weakness. Yeon deliberately washes up in her hospital room, making her heart rate climb on the monitor, but he does not push further. That night, they lie peacefully apart until Huiju, unable to sleep, puts a pillow between them. Yeon pulls her into his arms. He explains he does not want separate beds because palace servants may spread rumors that she is neglected on her first night. They hold each other, but nothing more happens. He fully respects her wishes. Their first public duty as a married couple is at Huiju's old school. For the first time, she stands on that stage as a princess and gives an opening speech. In the past, she was a commoner in an elite school, looked down on no matter how rich she was. Now, no one dares look down on her. Then the reporters erupt. Yeon steps in front of her, blocks the flashes, and leads her away. Their marriage contract has been leaked. The public believed their romance was a fairy tale. Now it looks like a naked transaction, the regent selling royal status to a Chaebol woman. The scandal damages not only the royal family's dignity, but also Yeon's reputation. Yeon suggests admitting that the contract was real at first, but insisting their feelings are genuine now. Jongwoo asks whether they can guarantee they will not divorce in 3 years, as the contract says. They cannot answer. The situation worsens. Someone is guiding public opinion. People begin suspecting that Huiju and Yian planned a larger conspiracy from the start. Even Huiju's old royal commendation is questioned, and the palace fire suspicion returns. Some media paint her as an ambitious woman threatening the young king. Yian suffers too. Protesters outside the palace demand that he end his regency. The Queen Dowager's father uses the scandal to summon royal relatives for a closed meeting and publicly humiliates Huiju. Normally explosive, Huiju swallows the insult and stops Yian from tearing the clan apart for her. Afterward, Zhongwu demands Yian take responsibility. He says only one thing will prove Yian has no ambition for the throne. He must step down as regent. Yian is shocked. The prime minister, who always stood beside him, has stabbed him at the worst moment. His instinct is right. 5 days before the scandal, Zhongwu questioned a servant from Yian's household and confirmed the poisoning culprit. The servant had massive debt and followed the Queen Dowager's father's order to put an overdose of Yian's medication into the toast wine. He did not expect Huiju to drink it. Police also found virtual currency transactions between the servant and the Queen Dowager's father, but Zhongwu did not give the evidence to Yian or release it. He took it to the Queen Dowager and asked her to confess. The Queen Dowager was shocked because she did not know her father had ordered the poisoning. Still, she chose to protect him. She quickly realizes Zhongwu has another motive. His weakness is Huiju. Huiju has clearly fallen in love with Yian, leaving Zhongwu alone. The Queen Dowager understands unrequited love better than anyone. She tempts Zhongwu by saying Yian and Huiju's marriage is purely about interest. If there is no benefit, Huiju will leave him. If Zhongwu wants Huiju, he must help destroy Yian. Then she gives him the marriage contract. Zhongwu hesitates, then chooses to cooperate. At the same time, the Queen Dowager's father tries to force the young king to write a decree removing Yian. The child is terrified and in tears, but refuses. Yian bursts in and saves him. The young king knows more than anyone thinks. On the night his father died, he was with Yian in the next room. They heard the former king arguing with the Queen Dowager about abdication. The frightened child hid in his uncle's arms, and Yian comforted him. For years, Yian has been the person the boy clings to when afraid. The former king wanted to pass the throne to Yian. The young king only sits there because Yian loved his nephew enough to suppress his own claim. But the Queen Dowager does not stop. She pushes prosecutors to investigate Huiju's family company. Employees and even Huiju's father are summoned. Huiju does not dare tell Yian. She wants to help him but does not know how, so she goes to Zhongwu. Zhongwu asks whether the marriage is really fake. Huiju admits that it has become real. That breaks him again. In his mind, if Huiju deceived him and Yian is his rival, then revenge is justified. When Zhongwu refuses to help, Huiju returns home and, for the first time, kneels before her father. Her father asks what she wants freed from the storm, herself, Yian, or the company. Huiju answers without hesitation. She wants Yian free. Her father tells her there is only one way. She must take all responsibility, admit she is a stain, return to commoner status, and divorce Yian. That night, Huiju returns to Yian and hugs him tightly. She loves him, but she has made up her mind. She says they must divorce. Someone has to take responsibility, and she already has nothing clean to lose. Yian tries to stop her, but Huiju makes her words cruel. She says everything she owns came from desperate effort, and now because of him, her company is under investigation, and she may lose everything. Yian promised to give her everything, but now he cannot protect her. Is he still going to bind her to him? Yian has no answer. The next day, at Huiju's demand, a royal clan meeting is held. The cabinet has already asked Yian to suspend official duties and end his regency. Huiju enters the meeting with the force of a Chaebol chairwoman and announces her divorce. She asks the royal clan to cancel the royal status she risked everything to obtain and return her to commoner rank. She will take nothing from the marriage. As a commoner, she will accept every investigation, including the palace fire accusation, until the truth clears the conspiracies placed on Yian. At the same time, Huiju's company holds a press conference. Taeju faces the reporters for her. The marriage contract benefits Huiju in every clause, but not Yi-an. Taeju claims he wrote those terms as her protective brother because he feared she would be mistreated in the royal family. The contract was not notarized, he explains. It was only an internal family agreement. Instead of proving the marriage is fake, he says, it proves how deeply Yi-an loved her. The proud regent accepted such humiliating terms because he wanted to guarantee Huiju would never suffer. When reporters ask about the 3-year divorce clause, Taeju has an answer. Even if they are passionately in love now, Huiju's family worried that Yi-an might change, or that Huiju might be unable to endure palace pressure. Because divorce is taboo in the royal family, the clause was a way to let Huiju leave safely if she ever needed to. The explanation persuades the reporters. At the royal meeting, Huiju smiles and promises that once they divorce, Yi-an will return to being the pure, untouchable regent he was before marriage. But she never asks whether he wants that life back. Yi-an has also made his own decision. To protect the woman he loves, he asks the young king for something he has avoided for years. The young king is not happy on the throne, and he writes an abdication decree for his uncle without hesitation. In the middle of the meeting, someone brings in the abdication decree. The queen dowager's father goes nearly mad. The situation reverses. Yi-an does not accept immediately. By custom, he must refuse 3 times before accepting. After the meeting, Huiju stops him and asks what changed. She knows he has always wanted to protect the young king. Yi-an says the person he wants to protect is not the king as an institution, but his nephew as a child. While the boy remains on the throne, he is a target. Yi-an finally realizes that only by becoming king can he put his nephew safely behind him. What hurts him more is that Huiju assumed he had no power to protect them. Why did she not believe in him? Huiju has no answer. Jungwoo hears about the decree and pressures the queen dowager. Huiju, after thinking it over, cannot accept the outcome either. She wanted divorce not because she did not love Yi-an, but because she loved him too much and wanted to sacrifice herself. Yi-an, disappointed, leaves the palace and refuses to answer her messages. Huiju chases after him and confesses face to face. They reconcile and finally become physically intimate. The next day, Yi-an tells her the full story of his past. His older brother had prepared the abdication decree and even a special dragon robe for him, but the fire killed his brother. Yi-an realized he had to protect the king's only child, so even though he had the decree and the robe, he suppressed every ambition and served his nephew willingly. But retreating did not protect his nephew or himself. Now, only the throne can give him enough power to protect everyone. Seeing his tears, Huiju's heart breaks. With her support, Yi-an puts his armor back on. When the Queen Dowager attacks, he does not fear her. Seeing that he is truly determined to take the throne, the Queen Dowager collapses emotionally. She and Yi-an were schoolmates once. She had dreams of becoming a pianist, and she secretly liked him. But her father forced her to abandon school and marry the crown prince for the family's benefit. If Yi-an had wanted the throne back then, she would not have had to sacrifice her future, her ambition, and her young love for a man she did not love. But it is too late now. Yi-an confines her to the palace hall. Once he completes the remaining formal refusals, he will become king. The Queen Dowager's father decides to remove him by force. The Queen Dowager senses danger and calls Yi-an, but he does not answer. Only her son visits her. She begins to cry and holds him. Then an explosion sounds inside the palace. Huiju senses something is wrong and rushes over. When she learns Yi-an is trapped in the fire, she runs into the flames without hesitation. Yi-an is barely conscious. Seeing her, he tries weakly to stop her from coming closer, but Huiju will not abandon him. She cannot drag him out alone, and the smoke soon knocks her unconscious. When she wakes, both of them are alive. Others do not understand why she made such an irrational choice. But love is irrational. It makes people run into danger. Even Jongwoo cannot understand her decision. For the first time, he explodes at her in anger. The malice in his voice shocks Huiju. He catches himself and says he cannot stand watching her fall into danger again and again. Huiju accepts the excuse for the moment, but suspicion begins to grow. The explosion is clearly not simple. Huiju no longer trusts trusts outside agencies or the government, so she decides to personally investigate everyone on palace duty that day. To do so, she needs the Queen Dowager to hand over palace authority. Huiju brings out the commanding presence that once ruled the business world and forces the Queen Dowager to yield.
If the truth is not uncovered, she warns, the Queen Dowager will not survive this either. Then she pours out a cup of tea right in front of her. The Queen Dowager gives in. With Yian unconscious, Huiju takes charge of everything and organizes the investigation with precision. Then she hears Zhongwu has gone to Yian's hospital room. Fear crashes over her. She rushes back, afraid Zhongwu may try to finish what someone started. Zhongwu behaves normally, so Huiju pretends nothing is wrong. He does not attack Yian directly because he has prepared another move. While Yian is unconscious, rumors spread that he died in the explosion. Zhongwu should stop the rumors immediately, but instead he lets them grow until the public is unsettled. Then he asks the Queen Dowager to act as regent, because Yian is supposedly unable to govern. If she acts before Yian wakes, the result may become irreversible. The Queen Dowager hesitates. Then the door opens. Yian has woken just in time. He guessed Zhongwu's plan and came straight to confront them. His appearance shocks Zhongwu and fills Huiju with joy. Yian scolds Huiju for running into the fire. He wants to return to duty immediately, while Zhongwu tries to stop him again. This time, Yian refuses with open force. The young king is also worried and runs crying into Yian's arms. Yian comforts his nephew and promises he will always stay beside him. Meanwhile, the Queen Dowager speaks secretly with her father and realizes something terrifying. Details of Yian's explosion were never public, but her father knows too much. He does not deny it. This is the second time he has tried to kill Yian. The first time, she protected him. This time, the guilt becomes unbearable, especially because the explosion reminds her of the fire she caused years ago. Her son has always known the truth of his father's death, carrying that burden in silence. If she does not stop her father, he will keep going and her child will suffer even more. At last, the Queen Dowager removes all her grand ornaments, dresses in white, and goes to Yian to confess. The Queen Dowager tells Yian the truth. Only then does he understand that Zhongwu has played him, but before Yian fully understands it, Huiju has already sensed something wrong with the Prime Minister. During the explosion investigation, Huiju finds a suspect among the palace guards. The man claims he acted alone, but Huiju does not believe it. She suspects Zhongwu and confronts him at the shooting range. Zhongwu is preparing to host a royal hunting event. Huiju asks why he is arranging a hunt when he has recently been promoting animal protection. He answers that harmful animals must be handled. Huiju asks who decides what is harmful. Zhongwu says the state does. The tension between them makes it clear they are now enemies. Back home, Yian tells Huiju everything the Queen Dowager confessed. The Queen Dowager, who was always proud in front of him, begged for mercy for her child. Yian is willing to show some mercy for his nephew's sake, but he will never forgive her father, who has harmed him again and again. Before acting, Yian summons Zhongwu and asks whether he has progress on the poisoning case from the wedding. Zhongwu knows he can no longer hide it and says the culprit is only the Queen Dowager's father. But Yian is chilled by his reaction. The Queen Dowager has revealed not only the truth, but also Zhongwu's collusion and his role in luring Yian toward the second explosion. Zhongwu uses royal dignity as an excuse to pressure Yian to bury the case. Yian refuses. He exposes the case to the public and has the Queen Dowager's father arrested. In prison, the old man tries to use the young king as a shield. Yian warns him to be silent, or both the king and the Queen Dowager will be dragged down with him. With the old man removed, Yian's accession faces no serious challenge. But after becoming king, his first act is shocking. He proposes abolishing the monarchy. The cabinet erupts. Most officials oppose him because their power is tied to the royal family and the aristocratic class. If this king will not obey, some even think about replacing him. Surrounded by enemies, Huiju stands firmly with her husband. Zhongwu asks her to persuade Yian to stop. She refuses. On his first day as king, Yian tells the ministers that they are beneficiaries of the existing system. Public polls have long shown strong support for abolishing the monarchy. The royal family and aristocracy create inequality and privilege. Nobles continue to discriminate against commoners, yet the people are the foundation of the country. He will call a national vote and let the citizens decide whether to abolish the royal system.
At home, he tells Huiju his plan and fears she may blame him for taking away the royal title she worked so hard to obtain. But this is exactly the world she wanted. If the monarchy disappears, no one will ever look down on her as a commoner again. No one will lose opportunities because of birth. The Queen Dowager visits her father in prison. He accuses her of failing her son, but she confessed because she was thinking of her son. She does not want him to live forever under pressure and guilt. Jongwoo fights back by cutting the royal budget so severely that Eon cannot even pay palace staff. But Huiju solves it easily. She is still one of the richest women in Korea. She has her family donate more money to the royal household than the yearly budget. Jongwoo responds by ordering an investigation into her family's company. Huiju returns home expecting blame from her father and brother. Instead, Taeju offers to share the burden, and her father tells Taeju to protect Huiju. In the car, Huiju calls Taeju brother for the first time in a softer way. The support feels strange, but also safe. At the next cabinet meeting, Jongwoo pressures Eon on behalf of the cabinet. Huiju suddenly enters and plays a recording. In it, Jongwoo threatens the Queen Dowager, ordering her to represent the royal clan and oppose Yeon. If she refuses, he will reveal that the former king left a decree naming Yeon as successor, and that she burned it for selfish reasons so her son could take the throne. The Queen Dowager asks if Jongwoo's current actions are not selfish too. He insists he is protecting the monarchy. She points out his hypocrisy, saying he even tried to have Yeon killed for the monarchy. The room is stunned. Huiju says she is the one making the direct attack because the Queen Dowager warned her that Eon is too soft-hearted. Huiju is not. After the meeting, Eon is heartbroken. He asks Jongwoo why he betrayed him. With Jongwoo exposed, there is no obstacle left to Eon's national vote. The people vote, and the monarchy is officially abolished. Eon leaves behind an abdication decree and steps down. He is no longer king, no longer regent, no longer trapped by royal rules. 3 years later, Huiju finishes all follow-up work after the monarchy's abolition and returns to her company. She is ready to compete with Taeju again, only for him to ask her to take over his company too. His wife is pregnant, and he wants paternity leave to take care of her. Their father also comes to see Huiju. She expects criticism, but he tells her to do well and says he will not treat her unfairly. For the first time, father and daughter finally release the knot between them. Huiju throws herself into work and neglects Eon at home. Eon tries to learn cooking, but she skips the dinner he prepared. Disappointed, he goes out to eat with his secretary. Now that he is a commoner, he can sit in an ordinary restaurant and eat food that is not specially prepared for him. No flashes follow him. No rules suffocate him. He enjoys the freedom. His secretary suggests he propose to Huiju again. Normal couples have rings and wedding dresses. Even though they married once, that marriage began as a contract. Maybe Eon should give her a real wedding. Eon hints at it again and again, but Huiju keeps saying it is unnecessary. That upsets him. How can a ring and wedding dress be unimportant? When Huiju asks why he cares so much, he finally tells the truth. He had liked her since school. Their fake marriage was never entirely fake for him. The wedding they had was not a fake wedding. It was a real wedding between two people who had already fallen for each other. On a day off, they buy tickets like an ordinary couple and go to a baseball game. This time, no royal rule stops Yeon from wearing a team uniform. When the stadium camera lands on them, they kiss sweetly on the big screen. The kingdom is gone, the rules are gone, and the woman who once wanted a crown finally has something better, a life where no crown is needed. That's all for today's drama recap. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like, comment, and share. I'll see you in the next one.